a very warm welcome. Here's wishing you all a very happy Diwali. Let's get started. You're watching Gravitas. I'm Molly Gambhir. Our top story tonight on Gravitas is on the big Trump ultimatum to Volodymyr Zelensky. We are telling you about what has been said and what this could mean for the war and what all has unfolded. That's coming up in just a bit for you. Also on the show for you tonight, we tell you all about the Indian Prime Minister's Diwali message to the Indian Navy. That's coming up shortly. Also on the show for you, despite the truce, tensions are simmering at the Pakistan-Afghanistan border. We are telling you more about where things stand and how they reached this point. All this and lots more coming your way.
In my opinion, they should stop the war immediately.
The security guarantees we want the United States be.
US President Donald Trump has reportedly turned up the heat on the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, telling him bluntly that he is out of options and has to agree to Russia's terms to end the war. And behind the scenes, if a Financial Times report is to be believed, their White House meeting turned tense and confrontational. Donald Trump allegedly pressed Zelensky to cede territory to Moscow as the price of peace, insisting that sacrificing land is the only way to stop the bloodshed. In fact, sources quoted by the news outlet claim the discussion spiraled into heated arguments, with Trump reportedly shouting and cursing at Volodymyr Zelensky. Members of the Ukrainian delegation reportedly left the meeting visibly disappointed, describing that encounter as chaotic and humiliating. During the meeting, Trump is said to have thrown maps of the Ukrainian front lines on the table, telling Zelensky to give up the entire Donbas region to Russia. The entire Donbas region to Russia. He also reportedly refused to provide Ukraine with Tomahawk missiles and floated the idea of offering security guarantees to both Kiev and Moscow, a proposal that reportedly stunned Ukrainian officials. And when asked by reporters about the alleged conversation, Donald Trump denied asking Zelensky to cede any territory. However, he added that the region should stay divided as it is. Listen to this.
No, we never discussed it. We think that what they should do is just stop at the lines where they are, the battle lines. You have a battle line right now. The rest is very tough to negotiate. If you're going to say, you take this, we take that, there's so many different permutations. So what I say is they should stop right now at the battle lines. Go home, stop killing people, and be done.
Trump and Putin are expected to meet in the Hungarian capital within weeks as part of Washington's new push for a peace deal. Despite diplomatic talks, Zelensky reiterated in a Telegram post that Putin cannot be stopped by words, only by strength. He emphasized that peace through strength remains Ukraine's guiding principle. On the battlefield, Ukrainian forces claim to have launched more than 80 drones and 2 projectiles targeting Russia's Belgorod region over the past 24 hours. Local authorities reported 2 civilian deaths after a drone struck the village of Yasny Zori. As the war continues, all eyes are now on the possible meeting of Trump and Putin in Budapest, one that could potentially reshape global alliances and redraw the map of Eastern Europe. Aboard the mighty INS Vikrant, India's first indigenously built aircraft carrier, Prime Minister Modi celebrated Diwali with Navy personnel, continuing his decade-long tradition of spending Diwali with India's uniformed services. And from the ship's deck, Prime Minister Modi reminded the world how INS Vikrant struck fear deep into the enemy.
कुछ ही महीने पहले हमने देखा है, विक्रांत ने अपने नाम से ही पूरे पाकिस्तान की रातों की नींद उड़ा दी थी। जिसका नाम ही दुश्मन के साहस का अंत कर दे, वो है आईएनएस विक्रांत।
India firing a warning across the skies. Speed, precision, power. The world's fastest cruise missile just got deadlier, doubling its reach. BrahMos is now upgraded with an 800-kilometer punch that changes the game forever. Take a look.
Operation Sindoor proved India's resolve when India unleashed the BrahMos in May 2025. Pakistan's skies lit up with a precision fire that was unstoppable. The supersonic missiles tore through the night, striking terror hubs, command centers and airfields across Pakistani territory, obliterating the backbone of terror infrastructure in mere minutes. Multiple Pakistani air bases, including Noor Khan and Rafiqi, were left smouldering, their hangars ripped apart by Indian precision fire. Now India has just mastered the ultimate deterrent. The previous 450-kilometer limit of the BrahMos is old. According to reports, India has test-fired a new variant of the missile. The new range is a devastating 800 kilometers. This missile is a game changer, hitting targets with surgical precision. The message is loud and clear. Every enemy command center, every high-value asset is now squarely in the crosshairs. But the rearmament is not stopping here. High above the battle space, the skies are about to be sealed. The domestically developed Astra air-to-air missile, extending its range beyond 200 kilometers, according to reports, it is slated for mass production by 2026 to 27. This move upgrades India's fighter fleet into airborne ultimate predators, capable of neutralizing threats long before they become visible. The dual focus is lethal. BrahMos controls the land and sea, Astra locks down the airspace. India is building a complete indigenous power envelope. It's a strategic shield for overwhelming force, backed by technology that changes the face of modern warfare. This is the new reality. Bureau Report WION, World is One.
Shifting focus for now, tensions between Pakistan and Afghanistan over the long disputed Durand line have resurfaced during the ceasefire talks mediated by Qatar. The controversy began after Qatar, in its official statement announcing the truce, referred to it as a border between the two countries. This description has reportedly upset Afghan officials. In response, Qatar quickly issued a revised version of the statement, removing the reference to the word border. At the heart of the controversy is that 2,670-kilometer boundary established in 1893 between British India and Afghanistan. It was drawn by the British civil servant Henry Durand, an Afghan ruler, Abdur Rahman, and was a part of a strategic agreement during the era of the Great Game between British and Russia. And with the creation of Pakistan in 1947, the then newly formed state inherited this boundary, but ever since, Afghanistan has refused to recognize it as an international border. It calls it a colonial imposition that divides ethnic Pashtun lands and undermines Afghan sovereignty. Pakistan treats it as its official and internationally recognized border. It has fortified the fence along the frontier in recent years. Afghan forces have repeatedly challenged this, leading to periodic flare-ups. And the latest round of clashes, which lasted over a week, marked the worst fighting between the two sides since the Taliban's return to power in 2021. While a ceasefire has now been brokered, no joint declaration was issued. Instead, Qatar first announced the truce, followed by separate confirmations from both Pakistan and Afghanistan. The controversy over wording in a peace statement once again underscoring just how deeply unresolved this issue remains and how it continues to shape the fragile and often tense relationship between the two sides. The US seems to be turning up the heat on India once again, as President Trump has warned that New Delhi will continue to pay massive tariffs if it does not halt its purchases of Russian oil. Speaking to reporters aboard Air Force One, Trump said India will face steep economic penalties if it keeps buying crude from Moscow, framing it as a direct challenge to the ongoing US efforts to isolate Russia over its war in Ukraine. Here's what he said.
I spoke with Prime Minister Modi of India, and he said he's not going to be doing the Russian oil thing, so that's it.
But why would India say that they're not going to do?
I don't know, but if they want to say that, then they'll just continue to pay massive tariffs, and they don't want to do that.
In fact, his latest comments coming just days after he publicly claimed that India assured him that it would stop importing Russian oil. Trump's claims were immediately pushed back upon by New Delhi. India's Ministry of External Affairs, remember, firmly denied that any such conversation took place, stating it was not aware of any telephone call between the two leaders. The ministry also emphasized that India's top priority is to safeguard the interests of the Indian consumer.
On the question of whether there was a conversation or a telephone call between Prime Minister Modi and President Trump, I am not aware of any conversation yesterday between the two leaders.
Trade tensions between the two sides have escalated sharply in recent months after Washington doubled tariffs on Indian goods to, in fact, according to the US officials, nearly half of the tariff hikes are a direct response to India's ongoing oil trade with Russia. Washington arguing that such revenues help fund Russia's war efforts. India has defended its energy strategy, stating that it is diversifying sources to meet market demands. After Western nations reduced their imports from Russia, India emerged as the largest buyer of discounted Russian seaborne oil. Meanwhile, trade negotiations between the two sides are ongoing. An Indian delegation returned from Washington last week after holding what the officials described as congenial talks. However, there has been little indication of a breakthrough on the oil issue or on the steep tariffs that remain in place, with both countries navigating this complex mix of strategic, economic, geopolitical interests. It seems Trump's hardline obsession when it comes to Russian oil could continue to cast a long shadow over his relations with India. The US Army is reportedly developing lightweight fire and forget missiles, small enough for medium drones, designed to strike even when GPS is jammed. The program, called the Symbiotic UAS Delivery System, aims to let a single aircraft launch multiple strikes. Engineers are aiming to build a weapon that carries roughly 2 pounds of explosives, weighs no more than 5 pounds total, and reaches targets beyond 4 kilometers while cruising near 100 kilometers per hour. That's not all. The drone must land within about 16 feet of its mark and operate in GPS-denied environments under heavy electronic attack. To beat the jamming, the missile pairs a tiny inertial measurement unit with computer vision and onboard AI. Cameras and image matching algorithms will basically guide the round when radio navigation fails, allowing it to see the battlefield and home in on a target without actually relying on GPS. The effort builds on lessons from the Russia-Ukraine war, where battlefield jamming pushed developers, especially in Ukraine, to adopt alternative guidance methods. More countries now test AI-enabled systems that locate targets without satellite signals, and frontline users are deploying drones and weapons that retain strong autonomy in contested airspace. The US Army's project starts first with a feasibility study. And if that succeeds, developers will be building prototypes and then scale to production and fielding. US Army officials also say the same navigation tools could help civilian drones, from bridge inspections to hazardous material surveys. In short, a missile that finds its way by sight would change the battlefield dynamics and expand tactical options. Our next story is about a major breakthrough. It's about India's first indigenous antibiotic. Let's tell you all that you need to know. First things first, what is it called? Nafithromycin. And what does it help with? It is effective against drug-resistant respiratory infections. Let's just break that down for you. Basically, this is particularly significant for those with weak immunity. Now that India has developed that first indigenously discovered antibiotic, it marks a significant milestone in the country's pursuit of self-reliance in the pharmaceutical and biotechnology sectors. It's a huge feat. It has been conceptualized, developed, and clinically tested in India. It is a significant step, in fact, a huge step forward when it comes to self-reliance. In fact, the Union Science and Technology Minister has said that this antibiotic is effective against resistant respiratory infections, particularly beneficial for cancer patients and those with poorly controlled diabetes. He also highlighted another major scientific achievement, a successful indigenous clinical trial for gene therapy in the treatment of hemophilia. Supported by the Department of Biotechnology, the trial was conducted at Christian Medical College in Vellore, Tamil Nadu. He said the therapy recorded a 60 to 70% correction rate with 0 bleeding episodes, adding that the findings have been published in the New England Journal of Medicine, saying that India has already sequenced over 10,000 human genomes and aims to expand that number to 1 million in the coming years. Further emphasizing that the country must develop a self-sustainable ecosystem to drive its scientific and research growth. Moving on for now, the dream of immortality has long been a dream for humanity, from science fiction to mythologies. They're all full of instances where humans have been seen aspiring for a longer life. What if the secret to a longer life is actually crawling right beneath our feet? Our next story tells you how tiny rodents, almost invisible in the dark, may hold the key. The humble rat just became a titan of anti-aging science. Take a look.
The naked mole rat, a mouse-sized underground dweller that lives 30+ years, 5 to 10 times longer than comparable rodents. Chinese scientists have now uncovered a major piece of the puzzle, a modified version of the DNA sensor protein cGAS that, in naked mole rats, promotes efficient repair of broken DNA strands. In humans and mice, cGAS typically blocks the key repair route called homologous recombination. But in naked mole rats, the story flips. Scientists have cracked the molecular basis for exceptional longevity. They have identified the biological switch that activates DNA repair at precisely the right moments. The new findings, published in the journal Science, could also shed light on why naked mole rats are resistant to a wide range of age-related diseases. Every time your cells divide, mistakes accumulate. Mutations multiply, your body deteriorates. Cancer cells emerge, your brain fades. This protein fixes those mistakes. It keeps genetic integrity intact. It prevents the cascade of cellular collapse we call aging. The implications are staggering. If scientists can unlock this protein, activate it, enhance it, replicate its naked mole rat efficiency in human cells, they could extend lifespan, that to a healthier one. Decades of vitality, decades of youth, decades of life without decline. A wrinkled rat just became the most important mammal on the planet, because inside its cells lives the answer to the oldest human question. Bureau Report, WION World is one.
That festive fervor in India as millions across the country celebrate the festival of lights, Diwali. From homes, streets adorned with diyas and rangolis to prayers offered for prosperity and peace, the atmosphere is filled with joy and celebration. Take a look. With that, it's a wrap on this edition of Gravitas Tonight. This is me, Molly Gambhir, signing off. Thanks very much for watching, and here's wishing you all a very happy Diwali once again. Hello and a very warm welcome. Here's wishing you all a very happy Diwali. Let's get started. You're watching Gravitas. I'm Molly Gambhir.